the first thing I tend to notice is that I just feel on edge. I kind of just feel like maybe a bit irritable. And then I realise that actually it's because in my body, I've got kind of the feeling in the pit of my stomach. So what I find is useful here, and is something that I learned, is trying not to work out why you feel anxious, because when we're on our OCD recovery journey, it can be tempting to try and put a thought to everything, and we don't necessarily have to bring that to consciousness. We can just think, I feel anxious right now, I don't need to give it a story. But with that though, what I will say is that you're going to have thoughts pop up continuously, probably thoughts that, why do I feel anxious? Okay, I'm leaving that there, getting on with my work. How can I get rid of this? Okay, fine. Maybe it's this. Okay, I'm still getting on with my work. And you might find actually that you end up with ruminations going on in the background when you're trying to sit with anxiety. And it's the same with, as there's quite a few videos on this channel now about the mental rumination side, and the fact that a lot of that you can't necessarily control. Where you can, try not to ruminate, but a lot of it will go on in the background anyway, just out of habit. And particularly when you move along your OCD recovery journey, you might find yourself ruminating over the fact that, why can't I just leave anxiety there? Why can't I stop noticing? I thought once I label it as anxiety, I'll be able to comfortably move on along with my day, but I'm still really uncomfortable. Why is this the case? I don't know. I must be doing something wrong. That's really terrible. Or I can't stand that. So you might find that that's going on in the background. The key is here to try not to engage with it. So when you do feel on edge and those anxious feelings, just go about your day as best you can and accept the thoughts that you might have about that anxiety. You don't necessarily need to engage with those thoughts. One of the books on the reading list, in fact, there's 2 books on the OCD recovery reading list that address this in more detail, and they're very useful. The first is Self-Help for Your Nerves by Claire Weeks, which discusses the huge range of physical anxiety symptoms and what brings them on. And she gives an approach about kind of learning to kind of observe. And then the other book is At Last Alive as well, which addresses the anxiety symptoms and the kind of the more like the mindset and the attitude towards them. And he discusses that it's our body's been creating this excess energy over years, where we've been trying to get rid of anxiety. We've just been bringing up more anxiety, and once we stop trying to get rid of it, that anxiety will need to come up, because this excess energy needs to come out at some point. So he suggests viewing it as a good thing, and we read a lot about this, viewing it as a good thing. Obviously, every time we feel uncomfortable in OCD, it is an opportunity for us to not try to rid ourselves of that discomfort. And if it's physical discomfort in the form of anxiety, we can use that as an opportunity to not try and rid ourselves of it. But what I will say here is that your mind will be uncomfortable with it, even if sort of in your consciousness you've read about this and you know that the approach is not to try and get rid of it. Your unconscious may not have caught up yet. So this is what I want to say. You're still probably going to keep having questions get thrown up in your mind about the fact that you feel uncomfortable. And sometimes you might find yourself, personally, I thought, okay, if I can get all these years, my problem's that I can't sit with anxiety. So if I just sit with it, and then I kind of just thought, well, okay, that's a kind of a quick fix. So I'll just accept it, and then it'll, I'll stop noticing it. But you won't stop noticing it probably, because it is uncomfortable. But this is an opportunity where you can practice, refocusing your attention. This is why I say go about your day, do the things that you want to do your exercise, which will be good. It's another way of using out some of that energy. If you get kind of like me personally, I get restless leggy with it. I kind of get the urge to kind of kick out. Exercise is an opportunity to use that energy in a productive way. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's gone away afterwards. So it'll still be with me when I go to bed, perhaps, which is obviously when you don't want it. But go about your day, and as Rob would say, wear it like an uncomfortable coat. You know, make it, take it with you. But just know that you're probably gonna keep noticing it, and you can practice refocusing your attention. That's great, getting stuck into other things. And as you work further along with your recovery journey and you've started to change the beliefs, you may not notice it as much, you know, and it may just not be there as much. But don't beat yourself up if you are noticing it and you are getting the urge to, you know, you're getting those problem solving urges come up in your mind, because it's perfectly normal. And this has been, you know, we've conditioned ourselves over many years to try and push away the anxiety,